One of the first MPO tournaments I ever played, it was last year, I'll never forget it. The second day of the tournament, so it was a 2-day B tier. On Sunday, it was approximately 45 degrees outside and it was pouring rain the entire time. And I came ridiculously unprepared. I had pretty much exactly what I would normally play with just a couple extra towels. It poured rain the entire time. I didn't have an umbrella, I didn't have a raincoat, didn't have waterproof shoes. All of my towels were soaking wet, all of my discs were soaking wet by like the 9th hole of the round. Whether you like it or not, you're probably gonna have to play in conditions like this. It's not really raining right now, but it's been raining pretty much all day, and I've had plenty of tournament days where it's just pouring rain throughout the tournament.
As Ricky's not gonna waste any time getting underneath the umbrella, stepping up and throwing. It's in bounds, that's good. Get back to your umbrella quick.
So I'm gonna give you a couple tips and things that you should bring with you for a tournament round when it is raining, so you can avoid putting yourself in the situation that I did and avoid having a completely miserable time. So first of all, I'm gonna go over all the different things you can bring with you during a raining round so that you can mitigate a lot of the issues you're gonna run into with everything being super wet. So the first thing I'm gonna recommend is get yourself a rain fly for your bag. So I have a pound bag and they sell custom rain flies for their bags, which is really cool because you can open up this flap right here to get up into your putter pouch, into these side pouches and everything, and then you can lift this flap up as well and get into the main compartment where all your discs are. If you were to buy a normal backpacking rain fly, you're probably gonna run into some issues because you can't get into your bag easily. You're gonna have to kind of take it off every single time you use it. But most higher end bags are gonna also sell a rain fly that goes with it that's gonna have a lot of these same features. I think Pound makes the best ones, but I think most of the high end bags have rain flies for them. Secondly, you're gonna wanna bring a ton of towels. I typically actually have two different categories of towels. So I'll have a bunch of wet towels, which I'll use for drying off discs, and then I'll have like mud towels, which I'll use for if my disc gets super muddy. Sometimes you don't have water to like rinse it off, so you might have to just get a towel super muddy. You kind of want to keep your towels a little bit clean usually, so have one that you're going to use for taking a bunch of mud off of your disc, and then the rest you can use to dry them off. And you should have a lot, because if you're playing multiple rounds in a day, or if it's just really raining and you're drying off a lot of discs, the towels are going to get wet eventually. You're going to want to cycle them. So typically I have like one main towel, which I have in this side pouch right here, this pink one, which is a fiber cloth, and then I have like an extra one right here, and then mud towel is this other smaller one, but I can also use it for getting rid of just wetness as well if I haven't used it for mud yet. And then also on top of that, I usually have some large towels in my car so I can dry stuff off after the round or between rounds, or just dry myself off if I need to. And I'll usually have a couple extra towels as well to filter out between rounds as well. This one's obviously something you should have with you if it's raining, which is an umbrella. Pretty much every disc golf company is gonna have their own umbrellas. I have this Innova one that I bought at GMC last year. They're really nice because they cover a lot. So if you have your bag on your back, it's gonna cover you and your bag and keep everything fairly dry. And also, if you have your bag on the ground and it's raining, you gotta get discs out, you can set your umbrella down like this, and it's gonna allow you to get to your discs without them getting super wet. And you can kind of leave your bag under the umbrella while you're getting stuff, because every time you open it up, you're gonna be exposing it to the water. So having these big, nice sort of disc golf umbrellas are gonna be really cool for keeping things dry in pretty much any situation. Some bags might have compartments to stick your umbrella into. Mine doesn't really. I usually just carry it around with me, but I've seen people put them in their bags. A really good thing to have if you have a cart is an attachment that you can put on your cart that's gonna hold your umbrella, and that's gonna allow you to sit your umbrella on your cart, so you can just have it hanging there and you can stand under the umbrella pretty easily. Next one is also pretty obvious, but there's a bit of a caveat to it. You should have a raincoat with you. Now, if you could tell, I'm not really quite wearing actually a raincoat right now. I like to wear these a lot. They're good for as a windbreaker, but also as a raincoat. They're these Cotopaxi, I forget what they're called, but like a Cotopaxi windbreaker. They have a hood to them and they keep the rain away pretty well. And since I have the rain fly on the umbrella, I don't have to worry about it being super good as a raincoat, but it keeps me fairly dry. You can wear a normal raincoat, but I like this because it's pretty tight fitting and pretty light, so it allows me to move around as much as possible. It doesn't really get in the way when I'm putting. I found if I wear a big raincoat, like a typical large style raincoat, it feels really awkward while putting. When I'm wearing this, it feels like I have a ton of mobility and it's barely even there, and it still keeps me fairly dry. The next thing is gonna be getting yourself a pair of waterproof shoes. I typically don't wear waterproof shoes in normal rounds, even if it's like a little bit muddy. I just like to wear Vans because they're comfortable on my feet. But I did buy myself a pair of these Adidas Terex Swifts, yeah. And they're Gore-Tex, so they stay pretty dry as long as you don't get water too high up on your ankles. I've worn them during rainy rounds on days like today, and my feet have stayed completely bone dry the entire time. So I don't wear them all the time, but if it is raining like it is today and the ground is wet, I will wear these, and they keep my feet very dry. In terms of keeping your feet dry and also warm, I'd highly recommend wool socks. I tend to wear wool socks for most rounds, especially because my feet can get wet. I highly recommend the light Darn Tough wool socks. I think they're like maybe 15, 20 bucks per pair, maybe a little bit more than that. Get yourself a couple pair of those, have a couple for the round so your feet stay dry, but those are typically, along with waterproof shoes, gonna keep your feet pretty dry. And just like any other round, but rain rounds especially, you're gonna wanna have a lot of extra pairs of socks because your feet are going to get wet no matter what. This one isn't necessarily necessary, but it's something that I decided to get for myself this year, and it's worked out pretty well, which is a shoe dryer. Pretty much, you plug it into the wall, it blows out some hot air, and it can dry your shoes off really quickly. If you get your shoes super wet, maybe you're playing a B or an A tier where you have multiple rounds in a weekend, or you're just playing casually and get your shoes wet, it's a really good way to dry them off quickly so you can use them again the next day. Or even if you had like an outlet in your car, you could plug it in, dry your shoes off after the first round, and in the second round you have nice dry shoes. Usually takes like 30 minutes to like an hour and a half, depending on how wet they are, to dry them off. Last thing I'll say to bring with you is if it's gonna be a little bit chillier outside, like I said, one of the first times I experienced some heavy rainfall during a tournament, it was like 40 or 45 degrees and I was freezing cold. The rain is typically gonna drop the temperature a little bit. It's gonna get a little bit windy sometimes, and you're gonna get cold pretty easily. So on top of having a raincoat, be ready to have long sleeves, extra under layers, maybe even a sweatshirt, some pants. These are all gonna come in handy in keeping your body warm throughout the round. Just remember, rain is gonna make things colder. I know it's pretty obvious, but again, I've made the mistake before, and it can be easy to forget when preparing for a tournament. So if you know it might be rainy, bring extra layers because you might need them. So those are all the things I'll typically bring with me for a tournament when I know it's gonna be raining. But there's also a lot of things that you have to keep in mind when playing during a rainy tournament, because it's gonna mess up your grip, it's gonna mess up your footing, it's gonna make things a lot different that you just need to keep it in mind when playing so that you're able to account for all the different variables that are coming into play when it is raining. First tip I'm gonna give you is to unlock your inner Coriolis and do as many standstills as you feel comfortable doing. A lot of times, if you try to do a little bit of a run-up, especially on a second shot in the fairway, you're gonna have a lot higher probability of slipping. If you have wet grass or mud or anything, I can't tell you how many times I've tried to do a little run up, even just for like an easy forehand chip shot, and I've slipped and totally screwed it up. When it's wet, standstills are gonna be your friend. Try to get used to doing them. They're gonna be super handy in the rain. It's gonna be a lot of slipping, so I would say practice standstills even when it's not raining so that when you get to that situation, you're used to it and you can pull them out. Second thing I'll say is to always check tee pads. I can't tell you how many times I have slipped on seemingly fine tee pads when it's just a little bit damp. Even after it's done raining, if they're a little bit wet, you can get tons of slips. The worst material that I've run into is rubber. If rubber gets wet, it's pretty much all bets are off. You're gonna be slipping all over the place. Some concrete tee pads, for example, the ones at Brewster Ridge at GMC, those can get super slippery when it's wet. And even though they're concrete, you'd think they'd be pretty good in the rain, but some concrete tee pads can get slippery, especially if they're not as gritty. So just, kind of step your foot forward, do your run up, and like step and really see if you're gonna plant well. And if it is gonna be slippery, you can do one of two things. One, you can put a towel down, which a lot of people like to do, but then I find that, okay, I'm not thinking about slipping, but now I'm thinking about hitting this towel and not really throwing. I would rather just slow down my run up a little bit and try to be really controlled and avoid that slip. But if the towel works for you, go for it and do that. I just find that it's distracting when trying to aim for a target. I'm instead aiming for where my foot's gonna be. So yeah, always check your tee pads, slow that run up a little bit, be nice and controlled. You might have to lose a little bit of distance, but I promise you, it's way better than slipping and throwing way off the fairway. Oh man, it's really coming down. Another tip that you have to keep in mind, and this is a really tough one to do because it's gonna totally screw up your routine, but you have to speed up your putting routine, especially if the rain is really coming down. Right now, it's pretty light, so I can have my putter sitting out here for a good while and it's still pretty grippy and feels fine, but it was coming down pretty good like 2 minutes ago, and I can guarantee you if I had my putter out, this thing would get super wet super fast. So be under your umbrella, maybe keep your discs under your shirt or your jacket, but once you get out there and get ready to putt, just do your routine as quick as you can while still being comfortable, because the longer you wait, the more time you take before you putt, the more wet your disc is gonna get and the harder it's gonna be to get a good release. In that same vein, when you are throwing and it is raining, do your best to keep your disc as dry as possible before you throw. So if my umbrella's right here, I might have my disc under my umbrella, you know, making sure it stays dry, maybe in my bag, and then when I know it's my turn to throw, I'm gonna grab it out, put it under my shirt. Maybe I'll do a little bit of a practice swing, but not with my full arm, or I'll keep it under there and do a little swing without the disc out. And then as soon as I'm ready to go, I'll pull it out, maybe even stand over it for a minute to keep it dry, and then I'll do my throw. So you keep it as dry as possible for as long as possible, because as soon as it gets exposed, when it is raining hard, it's gonna start getting slick and wet, and if you wait too long, you're gonna have to go dry it off, start everything over again. You're slowing everyone down, you're probably slowing yourself down as well and icing yourself a little bit. So do the best you can, keep it dry, keep it under your shirt, whatever you gotta do, and then throw as soon as you pull it out. Another thing you can do when it's raining is throw different plastic. So base plastic, like that your putters are gonna be in, are gonna get pretty slick pretty quickly. So I have this Jawbreaker Zone. I probably wouldn't try to throw this in the rain too much because it's gonna get super slick if it gets wet. As well as maybe my Envy right here. It did get a little bit wet and it definitely feels slick. So even with just a little bit of moisture on there, this thing is super hard to get a good firm release on. But something like my Star Thunderbird is gonna be pretty grippy, even with a little bit of moisture, or my Champion Toro. These grippy, slightly gummier plastics are gonna be a lot more handy in these conditions than something that's a bit more stiff and slick. Last tip I'm gonna give is just to throw more understable discs. You're not gonna be able to get as much power, your run-up's gonna be slower, you're not gonna be able to plant as much, so you're gonna have just less power, less speed with your throw, so you're gonna wanna go down a little bit in stability to account for that. So let's say I'm trying to throw 350 and I wanna throw a 9-speed. I have this Thunderbird and this Undertaker. I'm probably gonna go for the Undertaker because I know that I'm not gonna be able to throw quite as well in these conditions because I might slip. If I try to throw this Thunderbird with full power, exactly how I want to, there's a good chance I'm gonna slip. Or I could throw my Undertaker on a little bit more hyzer, on a little bit less power, and just slow everything down a little bit, and I'll get pretty much the same result with way less chance of slipping or having weird release issues. Now, I don't really have any sun here. There's a bunch of clouds out and it's starting to get dark, so those are all my tips for playing in the rain. Hopefully they can help out you a little bit when playing in the rain. You don't run into the same issues I did when I first started playing tournaments. Thanks to all my patrons for supporting the channel. If you want to help me out, you want to keep seeing videos like this, you want to see more videos like this, or you want any of the cool exclusive stuff you can get on my Patreon, go ahead, send me a couple bucks, you can follow, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.